One Piece chapter 1150. We're not at home, usual setup, but we gotta talk about the chapter. I don't know. All right, the cover story. We can start with the cover story with Yamato and the Holy Nari Shrine pilgrimage. We're done. We're done with it. I don't think we're done with the cover story, but this pilgrimage is over. Let's be honest. It was boring. All right. It was boring, and we're hoping that it goes somewhere. I mean, it's cool seeing Ulti, though. It's cool seeing Ulti and Yamato go through this journey. There's not really any development, anything there. It's just progressing, but it's cool. It's cool. I'm not mad at it. I like having like side stories, seeing what's going on. And I do still think it goes somewhere. So I'm here for it. But let's get to the actually important stuff. Again, it's one of those chapters that you can ramble about and talk about everything that's going on. And this is what we're going to do. Let's jump right into it. At the beginning of the chapter, we have them seeing Gunko in the air, right? And of course, we have Colin. He's talking about his dad falling down. But they're like, yo, we got this crazy shorty in the air. She's floating. And we don't know what's going on. Then Conqueror's Haki. So Gunko by herself is using Conqueror's Haki like when Saturn showed up, damn near when two Yonko are clashing, and knocking out, I mean, not everybody, but for the most part, the people that their will can sustain it. And people are getting knocked out. And again, this is Elbaf, right? It's not the same Elbaf where the giants, that they're, trained warriors, but they're still knocking out even some warriors. And I don't know, it's really impressive. I mean, we thought Im was strong, but this is just giving us a true idea of how strong Im is. And then we see the true form. It looks like a devil, a demon. And then even how Im speaks based on the translation is just, it feels ancient. It feels ancient. She feels ancient. I don't know. This is insane. Reminds me a bit of Stussy and her true form when we saw it, but this is like way more demonic. And Im came back talking smack, even to Killingham. I think Im is echoing how we felt about Killingham. Like, is this all your dream demons can do? Just make a bunch of weak nightmares that anybody can pack up, even the giants. And that's not a shot at the giants. That just is what it is. But just on a base level, I would say this showcase, it's hard to think of something that's comparable just based on how dominant it is and how we know that Im is more than likely nerfed because this is not Im's body. This is Gunko's body. Either way, Killingham gets into it and says that, he still got a lot more nightmares left. Basically, the nightmares are undead. So even though they're trash and they're probably weak, he can keep bringing back nightmares over and over and over. So this is just attrition at this point, right? And going against the God Knights and Emu is going to be a battle of attrition. How long can you last against these undead soldiers? It felt like that against Kaido back in the day as well, where it's just like the undead army. When you talk about Kaido, even Jack, where they would just keep coming. And it seems like it's going to be the same thing, even worse, because you're going to have a technique to defeat like the God Knights. And now we have these nightmares that you cannot stop because the nightmare fissures are still open. So Killingham, we thought he was broken at first. He's still relatively broken, but I would like for the nightmares to be upped in regards to strength and to just see like really the top tier of the nightmares. Maybe you condense how many nightmares you have and you bring more quality as opposed to quantity. But either way, attrition is crazy. Summers is still alive. Now Emu is telling Summers to somewhat control what's going on and is giving you more ideas to what Emu's goal is, because the goal is control at the end of the day. It's not necessarily destruction, domination, of course, and that goes along with control. So that's the most important thing. But at the end of the day, Summers is still alive. With everything that Gaban did, Summers is still alive. Yo, these God Knights, they're undead. We got a glimpse of how that process, and again, I don't think this is the only process to create one of these people, but it's something to consider. But also, we talked about Luffy, Zoro, and Sanji being away, and how Oda is using this opportunity to create and increase the stakes because nobody around is even strong enough or close to strong enough to compete with Im and this form of Emu. And, the Straw Hats bring it up and they kind of point out the obvious. This is the worst time for the Straw Hats to be away, but this is the best time for this thing to go down. And Jinbei, I need you to come to the front. We got to talk to you. I don't know if you need a pep talk. I don't know if you got comfortable and fat because the other Straw Hats were just carrying the load, but I need you to lock in, bro. I need you to lock in. At least Robin's trying to do something. Like, you mad at Robin being useful. Well, you're not mad at it, but you're like, yo, Robin, what are you doing? Why are you trying to hurt yourself to get away? I mean, bro, people are dying. You got people passing out, and Robin's like, I can't just sit here and do nothing, especially considering what happened in O'Hara. She's like, yo, I got to do Jinbei. Lock in, bro. Get some water. Do something. I don't know what you got going on, Jinbei. And it's like, this is the inevitability with Jinbei and what he is. He's a luxury item, okay? He's some shades you need. You don't ever go out, but you got the shades. You're just sitting there collecting dust. And that's what Jinbei's doing. Like a big, shout out to Jinbei. We know what Jinbei can do at the end of the day. But come on. This is this is ridiculous. I don't know. Either way, Imu. This chapter was great characterization, and we've seen it from Imu. It felt in the past like Imu did not care about destruction or who get it. In this chapter, it's more of a deep dive into Imu's goals and who Imu is as a person, thing, whatever the heck it is. But the goal here is to establish a suitable authority, right? And Imu is using, of course, the God Knights to establish that authority. But Summers is talking about, how do you do that with a country that has no king? So Imu's like, okay, let's just give him a king, right? And how Imu addresses Dory and Brogy was almost like if Imu knew them from back in the day. Now, I'm not saying that's the case, but it was almost informal. Blue Ogre Dory, Red Ogre Brogy, I command thee to claim dominion of this island. And it sounded crazy just because you just show up commanding people. I'm not gonna lie, based on the display of what Imu was doing, I'd probably do what Imu said. That was crazy. But I'm not sure what got into this guy. You just saw this display. You use your best arm to grab Imu and they start talking. He starts talking crazy to Imu. I think the crazy part is that I thought Imu was still trying to reason with him, still trying to reason with Brogy, and calmly pulls a book out of a portal, a book with pentagrams on it. Looks like Im summons a sword and a gun, stabs Brogy, and then blows off his arm, right? What we got going on? Hockey this, hockey that, blicky at the end of the day. I mean, I didn't think much of the Giants in the first place, but this is Imu. There's nothing most people couldn't do. But let's talk about this power really quickly. Corollo, is that you? But the fact that Im summoned the book, it had a insignia on it, right? A pentagram. So for me, I think what Imu is doing is somewhat using powers of other vessels that Imu has turned before. And by doing that, Imu now has access to all these abilities. And I think it was the same with you could say it was the same with Gunko and the ability used against Sabo, but I'm looking at Im's form and I'm just like, what if that's really just the tail of the demon? I don't know. Is it the arrow fruit? But it seems like that makes the most sense, but I don't know. This power, this ability to just summon anything out of nowhere, bro, this is insane. It's almost breaking all the rules of the story. I don't know. I think for Imu so far, I think Luffy's going to get dominated. I think Luffy stands no chance currently against Imu, especially with the time limit for Gear 5 and then incredibly horrible matchup with Imu's regeneration and, of course, the abilities as well. And this is just the tip of the iceberg. I feel like it's much more to go. And I didn't even get into the crazy stuff yet. This is just the interaction with Brogy, where just casually talking to him, you blow his arm off. And again, everybody's surprised because he's tough. The arm is gone. So now the second part of this, Imu says, I'm going to take your arm, but because you're disobedient, bye-bye to your lifespan. Body, unyielding to death, can't die, and you're going to get more strength. So whomever Imu makes a slave or brings under his or her control, they, and I quote, no longer shall thou be bound by reason nor by common sense. That sounds familiar, right? That sounds very, very familiar. Sounds like Gear 5 Luffy. So Im is the antithesis of Luffy, but can do the same things, which we kind of expected that kind of matchup based on who Im seems to be. But this is all about confirming that. Luffy versus Im is going to be the most ridiculous but best matchup in the story because of just how much they can just do whatever they decide to do. Perfect way to sum it up. You shall not be bound by reason nor by common sense. And it, just because she looked bad, we're not going to do that. It is turning Brogy into a demon. And it's saying the pinnacle of existence. So, let me talk to you. What does that mean? Is M saying that that's what it is? A demon? Because we're now crossing over into new territory beyond devil fruits, beyond hockey, just straight up demons. We got a glimpse of it with Brook and of course Zoro being the king of hell. We have a true demon, a true demon. So now we have a demonic contract that's made. I figured this was the case, that everybody bound to Im had a contract. I did not know that it was involuntary. I did not know Im was on having these assault charges. This the mans that the Gorosei be hanging with. You really just took Brogy against his will and gave him this contract. Now, my thing is, this probably only works on a certain level of opponent, because if Im can do this to Luffy, come on. That's ridiculous. But so it has to be a limit to it. It has to be a limit. Domi Reversi? What? You just turned a fairly strong combatant into your own personal slave and made him stronger. Black Dominion reversion. And again, I don't want to say a lot of these things feel familiar or like a very, very staunch upgrade to what Blackbeard has done in the past. Because, I mean, Blackbeard hasn't converted anybody, but like thinking of Black Hole and Liberation and, you know, Dark Matter, things like that. I'm like, bro, Im is on a whole other level. Because not only do you get rid of Dory or Brogy, whatever the hell, whomever it is, they the same to me. But you make him stronger and bigger and subservient. That's crazy. I think that's the most ridiculous thing in the series next to Luffy. So, I mean, it makes sense. So we got Dory and Brogy, both got turned. But I think what people aren't recognizing here is the sheer size of these giants in comparison to the others. Where I think at this point, they're probably big as Loki, which makes sense to kind of give Loki some agency, a fight at the end of the day, because I mean, a lot of fights versus Loki aren't going to be aesthetically pleasing. So what do? You bring people up to his level in size to make it look at least a bit better. So I think that's what's going to happen. But now I'm like, what did Ja Rule do? Because now Im is just dead set on getting rid of Ja Rule. I'm like, Ja Rule, what did you do, bro? And there's a part of me that kind of thinks, all right, this isn't about Ja Rule. I no longer think Ja Rule is a traitor. I think he really genuinely cared about Elbaf, and whatever happened to Harold, maybe Harold got turned and then Ja Rule had to kill him, or Loki had to kill him, something like that. But either way, I don't think Ja Rule is a bad guy anymore. I think it's just he's a genuine person that had genuine intentions and just got caught in a bad situation and made the best out of it and then got stabbed in the head. I don't feel malice from Ja Rule or like any crossing happening there. But it seemed like there's an adverse effect that if your will is not strong enough, you can just get turned regardless, because they had a couple giants that got turned into demons, subservient, and it seemed like they were not the intent, because it said, is it because they were standing between those two? So that might be the case. Either way, the final panel is one of the scariest things that we've seen, and it is the super amplified version of the panel we saw before with all the nightmares. Now we have the giants, and it's like, this is the true power of Elbaf. So at the end of the day, was this Im's intent? Now, here's the thing here. Again, characterization for Emu. This isn't about just absolute control. This is also about autonomy. Im wants people to make the decision to be subservient, right? Of course, it's happening forcibly, but people are more loyal when they choose to be loyal, right? As opposed to when they're absolutely forced to be. But it's like Im wants to use the king to force the people to be subservient, as opposed to like coming down with a heavy hand. So by turning Dory and Brogy into your slaves and being subservient, having a king, then you establish control, and the people think it's all organic. Im wants to go about it that way. It does not want to just have like an eye in the sky and people just like living in fear. Of course, people are scared of the celestial dragons and the Gorosei and the world government, but ultimately they're loyal and they're subservient to their monarch. And so Im is going to trying to put people in place for the other people to follow. At the end of the day, that's the goal. Now, this is next level, bro. This is completely changing the story. Where do we go from here? I don't know, because now I'm like, what is the limit? Because if Im turns Jinbei, the Straw Hats lose nothing so far in Elbaf. I mean, just a fireman. They lose the fireman, but other than that, that'd be insane. But here's the thing. I don't want them to just turn Straw Hats, because what would happen is that then you're like, okay, if you start turning Straw Hats into demons, it's going to be reversed. But when we think about it, Im is like the upgraded version of so many people post time skip, right? Where we have like Shanks, the hockey man, Im just showing up, knocking out people with hockey, right? Then you have Blackbeard, where Im has the durability. Im just has the ability to use multiple devil fruits. Then you have Kaido, durability, endurance. Im just beats him out with that. Then the soul power is a Big Mom. The ability to turn people to your side without even asking the question. But Big Mom was what, life or death, or like soul, whatever. Big Mom used to ask. But it was a question. It was like, you're going to be a demon. You are now a demon, whether you like it or not. So it's everything completely upgraded. I don't see Luffy doing well at all. And again, this is the tip of the iceberg. This is the tip of the tail from Im. It's only going to get worse, but Elbaf has officially begun. We have our threats. We have our antagonists. And the thing is, it could get worse. because don't let him get a hold of Gabon, right? Don't let him get a hold of some other people that like are relatively already strong, even Loki. But then it goes back to like even Shamrock and those guys asking Loki to join. I think I want to say there has to be some benefit to agreeing to join as opposed to being forced. Maybe by agreeing, you maintain or retain your personality, and even the strength is even greater. But it has to be some benefit to it. Or Shamrock and Gunko coming and just trying to recruit Loki, like him, just take over one of those guys, go and just like take over Loki. And again, things are obviously going to be more complex than that. But for right now, that's what we're seeing. And you got to give props to him. You got to give props to him just because it pulled up and it's been dominating. It's been dominating. Of course, the guys, they're in the underworld, but they had to have felt that. I mean, you felt it. It's time to come. I mean, it's time to come back. That sounded crazy. But shout out to him. Summers is back. They're about to go crazy. Now I'm like, do we need reinforcements? The Straw Hats and like, because if you start turning Elbaf against the Straw Hats, is this where the Grand Fleet shows up? You know, is this where we reunite Hyruden with the other guys? I'm just saying, like, we knew something major happened. What about a war over Elbaf in general? And of course, Marijoa is still on fire. So this would be a really nice twist if the Grand Fleet was needed to hold off just the giant warriors of Elbaf, like the true giant warriors, because now they're turned and they're more powerful. It is a lot to consider, and Im looking so clean with the summoning and the book and the abilities. I'm not gonna lie, it does make me happy seeing the Blicky take the arm off. And it's not just because it's a giant. I know y'all think I hate giants. I do. But the Blicky taking the arm off, dog, that's so satisfying. Just a different form, a different ability. And I think in general, guns need more love in One Piece. I don't think guns get enough love. I mean, they're pirates. I mean, they need it, in my opinion. So for Imu to do that, more guns. And we got to see Ben Beckman in action, but like more guns for sure. Dookie and Buki out the way. Now we got to see, like, with them upgraded, transformed, what's next? Because I don't think we have enough firepower based on what Im can do and how long Im seemingly can go about this. Is there a limit? I don't know, bro. Things are getting scary. And we still just only condensed in Elbaf. Luffy, Zoro, Sanji, what you gonna do? But guys, give me your thoughts. How you feeling about the story right now? This chapter completely changed the game. It broke the story. Because now you're like, Im definitely isn't just using devil fruits. This is just straight up from the devil. Like, it's not filtered anymore, right? It seemed like Im went straight to the source, cut out the middleman, and just like now is the devil, right? So shout out to Imu. Why didn't you do this sooner? If it's this overwhelming, but it's kind of like, it's kind of like Aizen, you know, just like in general, any anime, you have flunkies for a reason. Like, I shouldn't have to move and do all these things. This is why I have you. This is why you're created, to take care of things like this. All right, you can't take care of it, move. Let me step in. Let me give you a glimpse. Let me show you the power of a god. And so far, it's living up to the hype. But yeah, give me your thoughts. How do you feel about it? This is insane. I didn't see any break. So next week we got some more. I think we're about to go on a historic run. I know some people were down on Elbaf, right? Some people were ready to give up. You know, some people weren't believing in Oda, you know, and believing in the story that they've read over 1,100 chapters. But, you know, that's them, right? We let them stay on that side. All right, don't come back now. They you know, we accept anybody. We're not doing that. Whatever, it is what it is. We all love One Piece. But it's built up. And I think it's only going to continue to get better because, bro, hear me out. I don't think this is the end of people pulling up to Elbaf. I think more people are going to come to Elbaf other than even the Grand Fleet. But things to consider: like the video, subscribe. Shout out to my patrons. I appreciate you guys so much. You guys hold it down. And thank you. Link below if you want to check that out. But again, like, subscribe, and we'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.